Daisy's here.
How good.
Here he is.
How's lockdown treating you, Daisy?
Look, I feel like I need to apologise to you guys.
Yeah.
Last Monday I came in, I was sort of taking the mickey a little bit because you guys were fresh off a break. I wasn't.
Loving it.
I sort of made the joke that I'd come in next Monday and hopefully you're all flat and down. And
We never are.
well, I didn't realise that we'd be in lockdown 3 days later. So I'm not saying I can take full responsibility. Maybe some removalists and jerks from Sydney should have something to do with it.
I
but
know.
I feel partially responsible for the bad vibes I put out here. So I'm terribly sorry for that.
Don't ever apologise.
All right, get
What do you
stuff then.
think? What do you think the penalty for the removalist should be in other news?
Yeah, good question.
Prison time?
Oh, well, honestly, I've had this discussion with a few mates. I think you need to make a stand at some point.
What are you thinking?
Well,
Stoning.
that's probably a good idea. We'll go real old school. No, just a decent financial penalty, just to show that people, if you're going to do the wrong thing, you have to pay a price for it, and a literal
Absolutely.
price. And for people who are scrapping around, I assume being removalists, you don't want to ruin them financially,
that's
but
the
they
thing.
also need to understand that what you're doing is a very serious matter. If you break the law in other parts of life, you pay a fine.
Well, and then resisting being honest with the traces.
that's
that's the bit
just
that
weird,
irritated
isn't
me.
it? And then there was no real good places they'd been either. I get
No.
it if you'd been the top of the town and kittens, and
Yeah, that's
you
right.
and you were meant to be on a family trip doing
Yeah.
removalist sort of work.
You're
but-
at Goldfingers for a lunchtime.
correct.
Who hasn't done that?
Yeah, well, not in the past 3 days.
Had some finger food at Goldfingers.
Oh boy.
What caught your eye over the weekend? Because I know there's been so much going on.
Well, there was just heaps going on, wasn't there? Obviously, the crash on the way to the Richmond-Brisbane game. I was in here doing it for Triple M footy, and the start time kept getting pushed and pushed.
And did it start on time?
No, I think it was a 15-minute delay.
Yeah, 15. It
And-
ended up being at 8:10.
And they ended up having about 25 minutes at the ground prior to kickoff.
Not long at all. And you guys would have loved doing more previews.
Yeah, it was brilliant. We come in and got the late call up for the Friday huddle, I think it's called, and came in with no prep, and away I went. So
Just
that was
chatting.
But the interesting thing of that, we were speaking to Brendan Gale from Richmond on the phone about it, and he was talking about how the bus that they'd planned, it's a 50-minute trip or whatever from the Goldie. Or to the Goldie, and they didn't have a toilet on their bus.
Oh, no.
So as an athlete, you're finely tuned, you're ready to go. You've
You're drinking
consumed
water all day.
Yep, your water and your Gatorade, your electrolytes, getting ready to go, and you sit on a bus and you've almost timed it to the minute. So any sort of delay, so no doubt the Gatorade bottles and whatnot might have
Would have
been
been chockers.
refilled. yes.
Absolutely.
Which is gross.
Similar
Wow.
colour.
Yeah.
I'll have the yellow one, thanks. Were you ever in that situation where you were rattled and running out of time?
Yeah, a couple of times we used to say when we went to Sydney, we used to play out at the Homebush or Olympic Stadium or whatever that was when we played the Swans. This was at the Pies, and often we'd stay in the city, in the rocks there, and we'd get caught with the Sydney peak hour on a Friday night, which is an absolute
Nightmare.
trainer. So
There's
the
only
first
one road in there.
Oh, and it sucks. So anyone who knows Sydney traffic. A couple of times we had that, but then the footy club had the presence of mind, I guess, to start getting buses with toilets. Which, in this day and age, who would have thunk it?
I had the bus pull over between Canberra and Albury years ago because I thought I could have a smoke in the dunny.
Oh,
I was one of those guys. And
Yes.
the bus driver, I could feel the bus braking. I'm like,
I've done the wrong thing here.
and then it was like, I know what you're doing in there. I'm like, I'm not doing anything in here.
Famously, before there was toilets on buses, a footy trip I once went on just went the old school hose out the door and a funnel. So because they didn't want to stop, they just had to get to the destination of Bendigo.
A stand-up whiz into the funnel.
Which is ingenious,
It's a
really.
bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. Daisy Thomas with us this morning.
A win here and a win there.
Daisy's winners.
Yes. Yeah, only winners this week. We're not doing the losers. We've
I
sacked
like
that. I was almost going to bring it back if Richmond had a loss, and I said I'd give them one last chance.
And Jack Revolt in his 300th, just phenomenal.
Just went and kicked 6 goals. What a fantastic, with all the interruptions going into that one.
Yeah.
The form they were in as well. It was a fantastic win for them and
I
for
actually
Jack as well.
Googled Jack and Nick's careers, and they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
I think Jack's about 18 goals behind him, and what did Nick end up playing? About 336.
I'll find out.
I think I think Nick often speaks about how every milestone he's had, Jack just coming along and just, famously had the run back with the flight, that sort of mark. And then a couple of weeks ago, Jack Walsh said, oh, boy, I might just try and beat you at that one as well. So that'd be bloody annoying.
I reckon.
Yeah, my cousin, just jog on, mate. Let me have the limelight.
Has there been two better cousins play AFL?
Ben was pretty good.
Yeah, but I...
Zing.
I can't believe I was going to answer.
The look on
hang
your
on, Daisy.
face.
I don't mean Ben Cousins. Daisy, you've misunderstood. But anyway, that's a conversation for another time.
certainly
Further
is.
winners.
We'll move on to Essendon. I think it was last week I told you if they win all things equal, they'll find themselves in the 8. I'm pretty sure they find themselves in the 8.
You are on fire. You
are.
also said North would win last week.
My stocks are rising. There's no doubt about that. So well done to Essendon. Jamara Ugle-Hagen, the young kid from the Bulldogs. We stuck up for him last week and he came out and he kicked 3 this week.
Bang.
So fantastic for him. Jack Silvagni, he was another winner on the weekend. His grandfather, Sergio, who was
very emotional.
He was. And you know, a lot of people carry on, oh, you're footballers, you know, don't show any emotional, this sort of crap.
Loved it.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. Just a good reminder to people that once, and well done to Jack for being able to sort of put that aside to go and get the job done because he played a fantastic game. At times he was rucking against Brodie Grundy, which
took a screamer,
kicked the goal. So for him to go out there, get his job done, and then at the end of it have the emotional release, if you will, and good to see the boys getting around him. So,
well, he probably pushed all of that stuff down all week
so
he could get
sort of
on with
suppress
it.
And it's obviously a big thing, death in any situation. So well done to Jack Silvagni and the Silvagni family for just being all-round good Carlton people. And the Blues and Pies, well, it was a good game, but my biggest winner, you already touched on it, Sam Walsh.
Yeah.
His ability to have 38 touches and draw a doodle with his heat map.
What an unbelievable heat map.
And
it's a full cock and balls.
Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't have got a pen out and drawn it better.
Well, I went for a run, I think it was in the last lockdown. I got on the Strava and I started to realise that they track where you go. So I punched out a couple of laps around Central Park, and then at the end of it, I thought this could be quite a bit of a laugh.
Trying to concoct a balls out of your own jog.
Well, correct, and I couldn't do it anywhere near the detail that Sam Walsh did. He's almost had pubes on it. It was fantastic. So
it was stunning.
It was fantastic.
It took my breath away when I first saw it.
Oh yeah, it's just a great piece of running. And Melbourne and Hawthorn, well, probably more Hawthorn than Melbourne. To play out in a draw, nobody gave them a chance. If you hadn't said Hawthorn were going to take it up to them, kick more goals than them and lose the game, I probably would have genuinely told you to go get vaccinated.
I know.
And then
11-13 plays 12-7.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one that got away.
It was a big game, and it's just weird though. No crowds at the footy. I know we're trying to get on top of this pandemic, but it just makes it very strange, doesn't it?
It does, but you know what? We were just talking off air about what's interesting about that is hearing the players talk.
Yeah, well, that's a bit of insight. And
you never hear that.
No, well, you can't, and that's probably the beauty and a good understanding for fans at home as to how much communication goes into a game of football. That when everyone's running around doing their thing, you just think you're chasing the ball, but how much instruction goes into covering off players, setting up behind the ball, and when there's 90,000 at the MCG...
It must be almost impossible.
It's near on impossible. That's where you rely on your players to be smart, to have the nous to look around and not just get caught ball watching, because a lot of it, you see players, and I'm sure a lot of people now when they go to the football will be looking for people directing, and it's a lot of pointing. Think back to sort of Luke Hodge of yesteryear, almost, directing traffic.
Because it'd be
almost.
very easy for young blokes to just get overwhelmed.
Well, they do. They just, they get carried away and just want to get the ball and watch the ball. So it's been a good part of it. But those were the winners for the week. So well done to all involved.
Well done, Daisy.
Thanks very much. Can't wait.
The Marty Sheargold Show. Triple M.